Well, so the drama that Randy Pitchford likes to bring upon himself continues. And when I mean Randy Pitchford, I'm talking about the Gearbox CEO. And I'm sure, as many of you know, Gearbox and Take-Two Publishing is under a lot of fire for making Borderlands 3 an Epic Game Store exclusive. And there's a million other videos out there about it, about why that's a problem. And to be honest, I don't see a huge problem with the Epic Game Store existing. I do like the idea of choice. I do like the idea that Steam has a competitor, but I don't think it's really growing. I don't really think it's shaping up to be an organic process of customers. Customers are being forced to choose another platform, not because it's better, but because of exclusivity. So, with that all having been said, Randy Pitchford is continually trying to defend the decision. And he sends a lot of mixed messages here. And we're going to kind of go down his Twitter meltdown here. So let's bring up Twitter. So as of today, Randy has tweeted quite a bit about this. Originally starting with the whole idea that he comes and says, this is not our decision, this was Take-Two's decision. And that's fine, but he sends a lot of kind of mixed messages from that. So one of the big things that I think a lot of people are having problems with is talking about this here. So someone was talking about Steam being, or this was, I believe this is a Gearbox employee. Yes. So he had talked about the review bombing that Borderlands titles are getting on Steam. So that's the thing. People who are unhappy with it, with the decision to go to Epic Game Store, are going to Steam and completely review bombing Borderlands 2, pre-sequel, the first Borderlands, and probably Tales from Borderlands as well. I'm not sure on that one though, but Borderlands 2 being the one being hit the hardest. And Randy comes back with, ironically, and the Gearbox employee kind of points this out, that it's being review bombed, saying, not cool at all to misuse the review system like this, and shame on Steam Games for allowing it. Now, I do agree that the review system shouldn't be misused like this, but I'll kind of touch on that in a little bit. I don't really think the issue is on Steam, or the blame's on Steam. But Randy chimes in, saying, ironically, that this misuse is possible and that Steam has no interest in correcting this misuse makes me kind of happy about 2K's decision and makes me want to reconsider Gearbox Publishing's current posture in the platform. So it's kind of a veiled threat, okay? At this point, Steam had a review bombing countermeasure in place. Now, they don't delete reviews. They just they prevent the reviews from impacting the overall score of the game, or the overall review score of the game. So if you go on there, you'll see that even most recently it's still very positive, whereas before their review bombing system went into place, it was mostly negative, I believe. So the fact that he's basically saying that Steam is just being an unfaithful actor in this is kind of petulant, right? And people called him out on that. You have someone here saying, this would not have happened if there was an exclusivity deal. You, 2K, whoever is responsible, brought it upon themselves, and it's their fault for everyone being pissed off. And then Randy comes back with, I wouldn't hit you if you didn't deserve it. It's your fault I'm hitting you. WTF is wrong with you, and this victim-blaming bullshit. Kindly fuck off, troll. So, first off, that doesn't really seem like a troll response. I mean, that's a pretty measured response. He's just saying, this is why this is happening. And people have pointed out in the past that that this is the only way we can actually talk, or the only way we can let these publishers and developers know that we don't like this decision, we don't like this exclusivity deal. So this is the only route we have. And granted, we have Twitter, but you can tweet at Randy Pitchford and he'll just tell you to fuck off. So, and then he goes on here, he's got some other tweets here, nothing really super important. And now he's kind of backed off a bit here. So this person's saying, hi Randy, I have a few questions. Will Steam users have the same pre-order bonuses, blah, blah, blah. He says, I don't know. This is a publisher question. And then you have somebody here saying, really, you have no knowledge of this? This is your game. How do you not know how your publisher is selling it? He says, sorry, I'm focused on the game. It's kind of a cop-out. Now this guy, Randy, I think he's just trying to be protective here. But I think he should know this. I mean, come on. He is the CEO of Gearbox. They're implementing these tools, they're going to implement, I'm sure, the pre-order bonuses. I mean, the system has to have something in place to know that they've been pre-ordered, and I'm sure they've already got the Steam code written in there. So now we have this one here. So this guy here calls Randy Pitchford a douche, and this guy here follows you. And you know what? That's fine. The guy was obviously, that's definitely a troll response. So I'm okay with that. And then, let's see. Then he goes on a whole thing about... Oh, here's another good one. So, Gearbox employees making Borderlands 3 be like this. And there's apparently a story going on that they're barred from... Basically, there's a 4chan leak right here saying that their working conditions are terrible, they're not supposed to be on Twitter, they want better working conditions, that Randy's a douche, and if they don't get what they want, they're going to release a build of the game in 4 weeks. This is kind of dubious at best, because first off, they say that they're not supposed to be on Twitter or on social media, and there's a lot of Gearbox on social media, and so, he talks about that on there. Now, this is an interesting one. So, this guy here, Adam Rees, he makes a really good point here, right? I mean, and he's kind of a measured approach here. He goes, Randy, you recently put out a tweet about review bombs on Steam, one that is cropping up quite a bit of flack on certain areas of Reddit. Makes me chuckle. But I wanted to ask you for some clarification if I could. When you said Steam shows no interest in correcting this misuse, were you referring to the lack of punishments for abusing the review system, or just the lack of obvious protections? Protections existed but needed to be manually approved. It feels to me personally that Steam is not actually trying to correct the problem, but it is instead attempting to sweep the problem under a rug. And they're doing it so by hiding the impact of any off-topic review bombs rather than putting their foot down and stopping the abuse outright. And then Randy says no interest is admittedly hyperbolic, which I'm glad he's able to admit that. I think their solutions aren't great. I've seen horrible lies said about me on Steam. Why should I throw my weight around to the publisher to favor a platform that allows for this kind of abuse from its customers? Again, He's gotten out of touch because he doesn't realize that this is the only method that we have to discuss this with him. And he actually comes up, and it's not in this thread actually, he brings it up here, and then he does this weird kind of, I don't know, analogy about grocery stores. But why does the store even need a review system? I like stores that do curation. As a customer, I strongly prefer curation over free-for-all. If I ran a store, I would only carry products I want to recommend, not let anyone put anything they want into my space. And that is a terrible take. Absolutely terrible take. And so it says, if this guy comes in and says, if you're truly a consumer, you must understand the value in a review system. I think you're a nice guy, but I also think you're arguing in good faith, which is true. I mean, from Randy's perspective, the idea of no reviews is good at this point, simply because they're being review bombed. Who's arguing? I'm telling you my preference. User reviews exist on sites like Amazon where literally any piece of shit product could be listed. Similarly, Steam will allow nearly any garbage software onto their store. Same for mobile app stores. I want a curated store. So you want somebody to tell you what's good as opposed to you doing your own research. He goes on, with curation, the store is representing that everything in the store is worthy. If they let something into their store that is subpar, the store takes a hit. User review-driven stores shift responsibility, and the process creates mechanisms that can be gamed and abused. Imagine going to the grocery store and having to rely upon user reviews to figure out if the milk or bread sucks or not. If I ran a store, I would curate everything, and I would develop a relationship with my customers such that they trusted if it was in the store, it was worthy. So this is not a really great argument, and there's a couple of reasons. One, food grocery stores doesn't really equate very well to video games. But basically he's saying it's on the store to offer quality products, and he likes going into a store with the concept that, oh, these must be good things because it is in this store. And which is true in Steam and in Amazon. There's very shitty products out there, and you can literally just go in and pick, you really don't have any idea if anything is good or not, but so you're based on the review system. And that's not inherently bad. The problem is he's saying that review systems can be gamed. Here's the issue though, is that the review system is very important to these developers. I mean, companies get bonuses based on their Metacritic scores. So reviews are very important. And so the idea that there's no reviews is kind of a good thing for a developer. So I can see there's that kind of aspect to that. And I think that's the aspect that's not in good faith. Now, the problem is, when he's talking about the system can be gamed or abused, the major problem with that is, again, when you don't have really an avenue to let them know that you don't like their product, or let me phrase that you don't like their practices, the review system is the only thing you have to go on, because that hits them the hardest. That lets them know, hey, we really effed up here. So I'll give you an example. Since he's using the grocery store example, let's say if you've got milk and there's a review system that lets you know what milk is good or not, the milk may be delicious, right? But come to find out that they abuse their cows, okay? And you're going to get a review bomb saying they abuse their cows. Their milk's great, but it tastes great, but the cows are abused. So there is a utility there. I mean, the review system is not just there for just the product in a vacuum. You have to look at everything. And so that would hurt that supplier of milk to know that since they abuse their cows, that maybe they need to treat their cows better and do better in communicating how well they treat their cows. So that way the greatness of their product can come through, right? So I don't really think this is a great argument on Randy's part. And this is where I think he really kind of loses it. So, piggybacking on his where he says, no interest was hyperbolic. This guy comes in and says, why? Maybe because that... Let me try that again. Why? Maybe because that is the minority of users on Steam abusing the reviews, which is true. I mean, it's got like 100,000 reviews on Steam, and it was only like a couple of thousand at most. You're letting the vocal minority of users get to you and make you feel justified for exclusivity. Gamers only have one way to get their message across, so they used it. I'm not saying review bombing is right. However, you have to admit that there's no other way to get the message across to publishers about the distaste of exclusivity. You also can't tell me that 2K Gearbox didn't expect blowback for the EGS exclusivity for BL3. And that's the reason why they didn't announce that it was going to be EGS exclusive at PAX, because they know they would get booed off the stage. They learned from Blizzard not to make unpopular announcements on stage. You kind of do it after the fact. And then he says, this perspective is shit. No other way. Kindly go fuck yourself. Now, this is... Randy, you're making people not want to buy the game just out of spite now. I'm getting to the point where in good conscience I can't buy the game. And so I actually replied, I said, Randy, you're kind of proving the point here. We reach out to you and we get publisher issue or telling us to fuck off, despite what you think you are one of those other ways, and you're shutting it down. So it's like, that's the thing, is that if you were to tweet 2K, they're not going to answer it. Right? If you talk to other Gearbox employees, you're going to get a company line, right? Then you have the CEO who doesn't really answer anybody. I guess maybe he answers to the publisher, but we're talking to him directly. I mean, what's the best? I mean, you can't really get any more access than that we can just tweet to Randy Pitchford, the Gearbox CEO, the guy who's driving everything, about the game's development. And he is shutting that off. So I'm like, okay, well, if I can't talk to Randy, I'm just going to review bomb the game. So this is a super bad take, Randy. So, and here he goes. Is like, Mr. Duval, or Mr. Randy, is there any way we can get our feedback to 2K Interactive to discuss their reasoning as well as voice our opinion as to both the customer and the fan? He goes, 2K has a website, social presence, etc. Have at it. And that's a terrible take, again, because if you're going to tweet at 2K, they're the social presence. Yeah, they got some kind of guy who's getting paid to do this. And, of course, naturally, you're just going to get the corporate, BS lines. That's why people want to go directly to Randy. That's why people want to go to Review Bomb, so that way they can see, wow, these companies can see, well, a lot of people are very displeasure. Because if you have a lot of people who are sending, going on 2K's website, using a web form, saying, I'm angry about this, they can just ignore that, right? But when you see Review Bombs, everybody can see how displeased everybody is. And so it's a much more visible aspect, and it's a lot more visceral, if you will. So this is he's gotten out of touch. So because that is not the best. It's not the best thing to do. So this guy here says he's lost his mind, calling potential customers concerned stupid AF. It's legit concern, and you're acting like a 13-year-old, which he is. I'm considering canceling my Borderlands 3 pre-order now. Hate the exclusivity deal to Take-Two Interactive made, and you're not helping these things. And apparently, he has deleted this tweet. You completely missed my point where I think is stupid as fuck is the idea of building a BL3 to sell that garbage, i.e. selling boosts and loot. That'd be stupid as fuck, and that some people have been throwing shade on and imagine fear is frustrating as hell. Now, here's the thing. And he's right. I mean, if you look at a free-to-play game, right, those games are made to sell boosts and to sell loot. They're based on microtransactions. And I do legitimately think that Gearbox doesn't want to buy a game that's laden with microtransactions. They don't want to make a game where you're driven to buy things after the initial purchase, other than, of course, DLC. But, I mean, you can look at the previous games. The DLC for the Borderlands games have all been very excellent, in my opinion, worth the money. I mean, even the base game has a ton of content. So even if you didn't buy a DLC because, for whatever reason, you still had a lot of content, and the DLC just added a lot more to the game. So, and so I get Randy is saying that, that is stupid, and he agrees with that. But the thing is, though, is that if you're going to do something shady like the whole EGS exclusivity thing, then and then act like a 13-year-old about it, you make me question the motives, because obviously the absolutely only reason to sell Borderlands 3 on Epic Game Store is money, right? Obviously Epic has given you a huge financial incentive to do this. So naturally, we're thinking, okay, well, if you're willing to piss off everybody, or if you're willing to piss off a large part of your player base for that extra money, what are you willing to do that's going to be in the game? Are you going to be willing to actually have microtransactions? Are you going to be willing to actually go that far to do that? So he's saying it's an imagined fear. No, it's a legitimate fear. I mean, and the thing is that normally, logically, I would say, yeah, I don't expect Gearbox to do that, because I just don't see them they don't have a history to prove that point. But with this whole exclusivity deal with Epic Game Store, it's not a really hard logical conclusion to come to that maybe they're doing this for the money. I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, granted, they're making games to make money anyways, but I mean, to make the game a continual generation of money. He says, I agree selling boosts is stupid, so why do deluxe super editions come with equipable XP and loot drop boost mods? Which, I see Gearbox getting a lot of shade for this, and I've seen a lot of videos with takes on that. And to be honest, Borderlands 2 came with the same thing. And you know what? Those XP and loot drop mods were not that great. They were just equipable mods. It wasn't something. It's not a consumable item, so you have to buy more. It's not like Assassin's Creed Odyssey where you're buying, or the Shadow of Mordor before, or Shadow of War before they had taken out the microtransactions. Where you buy the boost, it lasts 2 hours or an hour, and you have to buy another one. It wasn't like that. It was just a tiny little boost just for pre-ordering, and it wasn't really a big deal. So I don't have, and like this guy says, it's not new to the franchise though. So it's just a relic. It's just an equipable item. I really actually don't have a problem with that, because there's a precedent set on that. So, but again, it's not an imagined fear, Randy. So, and then we're catching up here with his grocery store analogies. So, and then you have this person here saying, talking about exactly what I was just referring to here. Oh, here you go. So this is the tweet that was deleted. Okay. Randy, what's this nonsense with XP and loot boost mods? Seriously, why? Is this game going to be built to sell the garbage like Assassin's Creed Odyssey? It's just frustrating to hear there's an option to essentially not play the game. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, but it sounds stupid as fuck. That's probably not the best way of taking it, but I agree that the way that was his comeback on that one's not good. He would say it's equipable, it's not consumable. This is something we did in Borderlands 2. He could have done that instead of just being like a 13-year-old. So, and this guy kind of brought this up, saying Borderlands 3 fans have opinion. Randy Pitchford, go fuck yourself. You understand who you're talking to, right? And this guy comes in and says, is Randy the CM for Borderlands 3? And he says, no, he's the Gearbox CEO. And he goes, why are you following me? Here, let me help you with that. Problem solved. So I'm assuming he blocked him. So, Randy, stop acting like a 13-year-old. I mean, I really want Borderlands 3 really, really badly. And to be honest, I'm willing to play it on the Epic Game Store. And the only question I have, which I've tweeted to you and I haven't gotten a response to yet, is will I be able to play with my Steam friends? And if, because I do have friends who are going to wait for the Steam version. They are. So I don't really have a problem with that, but if I buy the Epic Game Store version, will I be able to play with them once they buy the Steam version? I don't know. No one has been able to confirm or deny that, and that is going to be the breaking point for me. It's going to be the make it or break it for me if I'm going to purchase this game. And excuse me. And no one's answered that question. But if Randy keeps throwing shade at, or being like a petulant child, acting like a 13-year-old to all the fans who have legitimate concerns, and that he's not really entertaining these legitimate concerns at all, I've actually not seen an actual mature response from Randy Pitchford about this. He's been very, very, very... he's been acting like a child. He has not been very professional about this. And he's doing this directly to the fans. Fans who are already... very perturbed, who are very already angry, who are very frustrated, and it should be his job right now to say, hey, you know what, I understand, the thing is, if Randy was to be more truthful about this, if he was literally just come out and say, you know what, this is a better thing for our company. This, gives us better peace of mind. This allows us to give our employees better money. This gives us, this help boost the ability for us to make this a better game. We know it's not it's the not ideal thing, but it was the best decision to make for the financial stability of this product, to make this product successful, blah, 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 blah. There's ways you can go about this, Randy, to actually kind of assuage what people are fearing, and to actually come out and say things like, hey, and if you don't like it, and if you want to wait till spring of 2020 to buy it, that's fine, we understand. Or if you want to get the console version instead, that's fine, we understand. You'll still be able to play with your friends who do own it on Epic. Or your Epic friends will be able to play with your Steam friends. Because right now, if you buy it on PS4, you're not going to be able to play with people who buy it on the Xbox, right? So, and if he comes out and says things like, hey, and he has kind of mentioned it before the whole Borderlands 3 announcement, talking about cross-platform play, which, from my understanding, Epic Game Store does do that a lot better than Steam. So it's possible that people who own it on Epic Game Store will be able to play it with PS4 owners. And I think that's a good thing. And if that's something he would use as part of his argument as to why they went there, people would not be as pissed off. He's not having a measured approach. He's not understanding why we're frustrated. I think the major problem is that he doesn't understand why we're frustrated, and he's just lashing out because of that. He needs to step back, understand why we're frustrated, and kind of say and tell us things that help us alleviate those frustrations. Don't make us feel bad that we're waiting to buy it in 2020. That's what he's doing. He's making us feel bad for saying that. I just don't want to buy it on Epic Game Store. Epic Game Store has a lot of security problems. They don't have a lot of great features. That's something that is a concern to me. And he should be like, that's understandable. I totally get you. And, and say that, we had to make this decision. It's kind of like that XCOM successor that I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but even though they got a lot of flack, they did come out and saying, hey, we understand that you guys wanted this game on Steam. They're another Epic Game Store exclusive now, and even though they had promised that the game would be available on Steam, but they're like, but they're a small indie developer, and they said the money was just kind of a windfall for us. So, and I can understand that, but when you come in and just start throwing shade and start acting like a child to your fans, it's really not really doing you any favors. And granted, he's probably thinking, well, Borderlands 3 is going to make money. There's really, he could probably say anything. He could probably be like, he could probably say Hitler did nothing wrong, and people will still probably buy Borderlands 3. So, and he probably knows that, and that's why he's just saying whatever he wants to say. Or he's gotten out of touch as to why he's making games to begin with, which was for us, right? They make games for themselves too, but ultimately he wants to make something that people enjoy, and he's really pushing us away from that. So anyways, it's kind of a rant. It's disappointing. I wish it hadn't gone down this way. I don't really have a major problem with the exclusivity deal. There's some outstanding questions. To be honest, I have more of a problem with the way Randy is reacting than the actual exclusivity deal. To be honest, yeah. I would love for it to come to Steam in September, not in April, but I can live with that. I can live with just having the Epic Game Store version. But the way he's acting is not really. It's putting a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths. So, Randy, I hope you kind of take a measured approach. I know you're not going to see this video, but if you do, we love your games. We want to play your games. We want to love your game. We want to be a fan of your game. So please just kind of understand where we're coming from, and just be a little bit more reconciliatory, and just kind of help us understand the decision making, help us understand why, and just let us know that, yeah, I understand you, I get you. And that's the thing, is that we understand I think a lot of gamers understand that business decisions are business decisions. I mean, money is important. Money is what keeps your development going, and I think a lot of people understand that if you were just to come into this with a little bit more humility. So anyways, that's kind of my take on this. He's probably not done tweeting, so who knows what we're going to see in the next day or two from Randy. But I hope hope you like this video, and if you do, go and hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.